Apple Barn is one of the highlight destinations of the Smoky Mountains. Today we'll explore this popular destination and talk about what makes them so unique. Welcome to Bear Facts, where we explore the Smoky Mountains one bear fact at a time. You might have noticed in my description that I will describe Apple Barn as a destination and not just a restaurant. The reason is that this place has much more than just one restaurant, but in fact has two restaurants, a winery, a cider mill, a year-long Christmas shop, an ice cream parlor, a candy store, a pastry shop, and a full-size general store with 2 floors of fun and unique items to browse through. So, no, this isn't just a restaurant, but a full-scale attraction. And the best part is that they have free parking and admission and are locally owned businesses. Well, mostly. The Apple Barn property has a long history and actually was owned by the Mullenberry family who purchased the land in the 1910s and also built the barn, which is the centerpiece of the property to this day. The land under the Mullendorf family was used for beef cattle and tobacco farming. In the 1970s, the farm was purchased by Bill Kilpatrick and the Hicks family, which it's unclear if they're still co-owners, and began to plant an apple orchard in 1978 after their tobacco harvest wasn't yielding what they needed to sustain their business. As these things go, it took a few years before the orchard was producing, but eventually they were able to harvest and sell their apples. Lots of apples. But apples were not enough, and the family wanted to expand their business. To get financial backing to expand their business, they reached out to the Stokely Hospitality Enterprise to help invest in their restaurant. Stokely Hospitality Enterprises is a family-based company based out of the Sevierville area. They have partnerships and businesses throughout the Smoky Mountain area. The Stokely family started in the canning business, which if you visited Applewood Grill, you will see remnants of their past, as there are canning jars in the front lobby. Unless you're aware of the Stokely history, most people would just pass by the small display of canning jars and just assume they're ornamental only. With the backing of the Stokeleys, Applewood Farm opened their first restaurant. The first restaurant was made using the original farmhouse that stood on the property. This is now the Applewood Farmhouse restaurant, not to be mistaken with the Applewood Grill, which is on the other side of the property. The Apple Barn is right off of 441 next to WonderWorks and the Titanic, and though they are very close to Pigeon Forge, their address is actually in Sevierville, Tennessee. The actual building isn't on 441, but rather on Apple Valley Road. After making the turnoff of 441, you need to head up over the bend where will first see Orvis, which is a fishing and clothing store that shares a border with the Apple Barn. Right after Orvis, you see the parking lot and the Applewood Grill. The main parking area is in the front of the establishment, but there is a parking area up closer to the Applewood restaurant on the far side of the property. On the left and across from Apple Barn, you can see the West Prong Little River, which you can cross the road to get a better view if you want. The main restaurant is called Applewood Farmhouse and has a beautiful gazebo, wrap-around front porch, and a full-size outdoor patio area you can dine in on warm days as well as some cooler ones as well, and a massive indoor seating area suited to accommodate all kinds of party sizes. The first restaurant they opened, Applewood Farmhouse, was once the original farmhouse, though not the original house. That one burned down quite a few years ago. The Applewood Farmhouse that stands today was at one point a real home. Inside the space is broken down into different rooms that flow easily from room to room. Each dining area is labeled like Cam's Place or the Keeping Room. How much of the building is the original isn't easy to tell. There have been extensive renovations and rooms have been clearly added. I would guess that the hostess area and the front rooms are mostly original, but it's clear that they have been added or at least added to the sunroom to make it bigger and more airy. The fireplace might also be original part of the structure since it seems to be placed in a pretty random location. Most restaurants want the fireplace to be up in center and blazing away, and as you can see in the photograph, this one is kind of just there. The atmosphere is that of a cozy country house with laced curtains, wood paneling and floors, farmhouse decor, rustic wooden chairs, and walls that are covered in wallpaper, which screams 1920s farmhouse. One of my favorite rooms is the sunroom with the big windows and porch swings situated at tables you can actually eat at. I also really enjoy all the aviaries you find throughout both restaurants. Parrot Mountain, a local popular attraction that has a huge collection of parrots and other exotic birds on display that guests can interact with, has a partnership with many local businesses that home some of their birds. You'll find their parrots and birds in Margaritaville and the island, as well as Applewood Farms in both restaurants. The main Farmhouse restaurant is much, much bigger than it looks like from the outside, so the fact that they needed another restaurant to handle the overflow just staggers me. Applewood was so successful that they eventually added another restaurant, the Applewood Grill, to the other end of the property. This building was designed in a similar manner, with a large, wide, covered porch for guests to sit at, rooms that move and flow like an old house, and decor that makes you feel like you're in the 1920s farmhouse. But unlike the original building, they were able to design the fireplace so it is front and center. They originally wanted to create a menu and experience that was more lunch style with the grill, but guests wanted menu items to be the same as the other restaurant. So you'll find that not only is the architecture and decor similar, but the menus as well. In fact, the menus between the two buildings are so similar that some guests aren't even aware that they went to two different restaurants at one point. And if you've only visited the Apple Barn a few times in your life, I can see how people can get confused and wonder how the fireplace got moved or wonder where is the room with the porch swings. The menu has a lot of items that start with country, mamas, or old-fashioned. In other words, you will have lots and lots of comfort food choices. I won't delve into the menu too much in this video because my goal is to look at the entire Apple Barn and all the businesses attached. But the fact that you have two restaurants with almost the exact same menu that can seat hundreds of people so close to one another should give you a clue that they are wildly popular and well received for the food. One food item that I'll talk about are their apple fritters. These sweet apple-based bread balls come with your meal, and you'll also get the apple butter sauce to dip in. And though you can order the apple fritters to go with some apple butter, you can't actually buy the apple butter in either restaurant. If you want to buy some of the famous apple butter, you will need to head over to the Apple Barn Cider Mill and General Store. The Apple Barn is a sprawling structure with buildings that are interconnected by outside and indoor walkways. Looking at a map, you'll see that the two restaurants are like bookends. Between the two restaurants are the Apple Barn Cider Mill and General Store and the Apple Barn Creamery and Candy Store, as well as the Apple Barn Winery and Christmas Store. That is a lot of Apple Barns. Now, I'm not too sure why the Apple Barn doesn't sell their jars in either restaurant. At least during the time of this video being produced, they didn't. But I have heard that there has something to do with who owns each of the businesses. From what I can understand, the Apple Barn is owned and operated by Bill Kilpatrick, and the restaurants are co-owned with more investors. Either way, if you want to buy just the apple butter, make sure you head over to the Giant Barn before they close for the day. The Apple Barn Cider Mill and General Store is by far the largest of the businesses within the Apple Barn. Since this is a fully functioning and working apple farm, many of the apple products are produced in-house. You can actually see the apple press and production area for the cider, as well as see the kitchens used to make their famous apple turnovers. Most of the products that are produced by the farm are processed and sold within the Apple Barn General Store. The general store sells everything from apples, canned produce, fresh and frozen cider, to stuffed animals and candles. The lower level of the barn has most of the food items, including the famous apple butter, and you can find a lot of fun household items on this floor as well as in the loft. Up in the loft area, you'll find more things like lamps, statues, home decor items, and other odds and ends. The Apple Creamery is also part of the general store. The Creamery has handcrafted, locally produced ice cream products that guests can sit and eat. To get to the Creamery, you have to leave the general store and head into their small indoor dining area. They advertise over 60 different flavors of ice cream as well as different fresh baked goods. Since the Creamery is part of the Cider Mill and General Store, you can also buy the same baked goods in the other part of the store as well. The decor reminds me of an old-fashioned ice cream parlor with giant wood mantle and soda fountains against the wall, although I don't think it's soda fountains, it's just some kind of fountain. And there are plenty of flavors of ice creams to choose from, as well as toppings and dishes. The Apple Barn General Store also has a candy shop attached. There is a big display of candies to pick by the pound, as well as a wide selection of other sweet treats. One of my favorite things to get here is the taffy. I like to pick the flavors that I like the most to take home. Outside the main part of the general store, there is a large indoor eating area where you can enjoy a fresh baked pastry or a hot or frozen cup of cider. Tucked in the corner, you'll find a counter that sells just pastries and cider products. Of course, the most popular items are the apple turnovers. These flaky pies are stuffed with fresh apple filling and are usually served warm. Now, these are not to be confused with apple pies, as the fillings are more of an applesauce consistency. So if you're in the mood for an apple pie, they will usually have that as well. But the apple turnovers are by far their most popular item sold in the area. Once you've had a chance to eat and shop your way through the general store, the next stop for some is the winery. Here you can sample different wine products by the Apple Barn Winery. The winery is very popular, big surprise, and many guests enjoy sampling a wide variety of wines and products made with apples and other fruits. The samples are free, but don't forget to tip. After you purchase wine here, you can head over to dinner right after. Just be aware that even though you can drink your wine at the restaurants, the servers cannot open the bottles or serve it for you. But you can ask for glasses and wine openers. Just don't ask the servers to help handle it. Neither restaurant has a liquor license and can't legally help you. Only the winery can handle liquor at the Apple Barn. Oh, and also the hard cider place. Once you are inside the winery, you'll also get a glimpse at the processing center for the wines. They have a large window that shows you the mechanics and equipment needed for the process. Walking around, you'll also know all the awards and badges the Apple Barn has won over the years. It's clear from the display they're very proud of their accomplishments. The winery also has a large selection of other items to browse through, including wine holders, a huge selection of bear trinkets from statues to pepper and salt shakers, wall signs, and many other fun items. But if wine isn't to your liking, you can also head over to the Apple Barn Hard Cider Shop. Here there are more handcrafted hard ciders to sample and choose from. This is a much smaller shop than the winery and doesn't have the collection of other trinkets and odd little things to look over. Nope, this is for the hardcore drinkers who only want hard cider. So in Sevierville, Christmas is a year-long event that they love to celebrate. This love of Christmas is on clear display at the Apple Barn Christmas Shop. When you first enter the Christmas shop, you're enveloped with amazing fragrances from the candles on display. But the candles aren't the only thing you will find in the Christmas shop. The shop is stuffed to the gills with all kinds of Christmas items. And there's even a second level where you might find more things to add to your collection. The Apple Barn is a great place to sample a lot of local things from food, wine, to products. The restaurants are both open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the Applewood Farmhouse is even open on Thanksgiving. All the shops and venues are open 7 days a week and offer guests a variety of experiences. Some might ask if this is a full day attraction. I would have to say that you can easily spend a few hours there, but most people won't spend a full day there. There is quite a lot to see and do, and many agree that it's worth the trip. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and thank you for visiting us at Fairfax of the Smoky Mountains. Please feel free to add comments and let others know about your experience at Applewood Farms, and help us out by clicking that like button and subscribing to our channel.